Okay, so Be'ezras Hashem, we are continuing with our shirim, or our reading of the Ramchal's Adir BaMarom on the Idra Rabbah. And just speaking to somebody a little bit before the shir about the Sefer and being reminded about why we're trying to learn through this Sefer is because for myself, and I know this to be true for others as well, the Sefer Adir BaMarom from the Ramchal is one of the only places that a person can truly find calmness to the soul. It is a sefer, it's a book of information, but at the same point, it's a Pesach, it's an opening that allows a person to really enter into the concepts that are being discussed to the degree that the sefer begins to be a lens through which a person encounters that which is being described in the sefer. The ruach of the Mechaber, the ruach of Rabbeinu Haramchal, as we've spoken about so often in the recent months, rests within the book of Adir BaMarom. It rests in it, meaning to say that learning of the book itself is a process towards redemption. It is a nitzutz of the Zohar HaKadosh, as we're going to see that the Ramchal himself is going to describe fundamentally clearly the role of the nitzutz of Moshe Rabbeinu and the nitzutz of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, and in what he is explicitly saying, what the Ramchal is implicitly implying, which is the nature of his neshama as well. That the Ramchal, the Torah of the Ramchal, in particular the Torah of the simple fact that the ultimate purpose of the entirety of creation is kichoik hatov lehetiv, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the ultimate capital G good, wants to bestow goodness. That is the singular most significant point at the heart of the Torah of the Ramchal. And in truth, that's the singular most important part at the heart of the Torah of the Arizal. In addition to that point of Choy Katov Lahetiv, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu just wants to bestow goodness upon reality and just wants to bestow the ultimate expression of Toiv Hanira V'Hanigla, Toiv Hanira V'Hanigla, a revealed and clarified good, not a good that is melubush in something that is concealed, because there's a way for good to arrive in a way that it's concealed, but rather Tov Hanira V'Hanigla. And in order for there to be toiv hanira v'hanigla, in order for the desire of HaKadosh Baruch Hu to bestow his goodness, to be a goodness that is apparently good in accordance with our own understanding, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is mitzamsim himself, and he creates the entire process of the descent away from the beginning into the concealment of the middle, so that we can come to the clarification at the end, which is toiv hanira v'hanigla, that which would not be possible had there not be the concealment that HaKadosh Baruch Hu created in the world. Because prior to concealment, HaKadosh Baruch Hu could reveal himself in the Or and the Choshech, as we know that there were the Maisim of the Rishonim and the Maisim of the Tzaddikim. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu, from that perspective of the Tachlis of all things, the infinite light of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, there's absolutely no distinction between anything. Everything is reflective of the Ratzon of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And in that place, it doesn't need to be hatoiv hanira v'hanigla. A person can come to understand the nature of goodness without it being a good that is revealed to the eyes of the individual, one that can be experienced by the yid themselves. But because HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants the toiv hanira v'hanigla, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is mitzamsim himself kavyachol, and he creates a distinction. He creates the plane of separation of past, present, and future, where there now begins to appear to be a place of concealment, where we are able to work through the concealment, and in accordance with our bitachon of toiv hanira v'hanigla, we're able to draw down the good in a way that we can grasp it. This is the second point of the Ramchal, that he separates two concepts. There's yichud b'metzios and there's yichud b'shlita. And this is explained in the first Pesach in Klach Pesach Chachma. This is what the Rebbe Shlita has been discussing in the past few weeks, especially last night and in last week's Torah. That the Yichud b'Metzius is the revelation that HaKadosh Baruch Hu operates in absolute unity. That's Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. That means that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is singular and unified. That's the Torah of Chabad. Chabad comes to explain this Nekuda, how Mitzido Yisparach Kavyachol, everything is unified. There's a singular principle of HaKadosh Baruch Hu's unity, and darkness and light, it's all the same. And so there's tov no matter what, even if it's not tov hanira v'hanigla, even if it's not the good that is oriented towards the particular feeling and experience of the human being, of Nishmas Yisrael. But in order for that yichud b'metzias, in order for that yichud ilah of Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu, of Hashem's radical unity in every aspect to be revealed fundamentally in the strongest way imaginable, it has to undergo a process of diminution and simsum and a movement from Yichud Ilah into Yichud Tata, which is the Yichud B'Shlita, which is the fact that not only is HaKadosh Baruch Hu essentially unified in all nature of unity, which negates everything other than him, Efes Zulaso, there's nothing but HaKadosh Baruch Hu. There's also the reality of Yachid B'Shlita, that within the worlds and the separation of the worlds and the Hashgacha Pratis of a person's experience within Simsum, Hashem is also unified there. That's Baruch Shem Kavod Malchus L'Olam Va'ed. That's the Torah of the Balasulam. That's the Torah, and the Balasulam again is a Hamshacha Yeshera of Rabbeinu Ramchal. The Rebbe said that when the Balasulam was writing his commentary on the Zohar, he had what we're going to come upon soon, Be'ezras Hashem, in the Adir BaMarom, the Yichud of the Gan written out in front of him. The Yichud of the Gan, which is the meditative technique, Kavyachol, the Yichud, the unification, that the Ramchal is Megala, which allows a person to draw the air of Gan Eden into the stale air of the exiled nature of this world, which is the secret of of tasting one's world in their days. And so the Ramchal is a direct expression of the Balasulam's Torah, which is the Yichud B'Shlita, the fact that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is present and unified, not only in all matters of unity, but also in all of the particularity of a person's life. And so that the descent away from Yichud Ilah into Yichud Tata, a descent away from absolute goodness without any distinction to align it in accordance with that which can be grasped as absolute goodness. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu creates a tzimtzum, which allows there to be an apparent distinction where we can now come to terms with Hashem's presence within concealment as well. And when we bring Hashem's concealment and the Yichud B'Shlita and the Hashkacha Pratis and the Toiv Hanira V'Hanigla and the Bitachon that we experience and the Kivoy that we experience as we expressed in the Drusha Kivoy back up to that place of Yichud B'Metzias, we're Magdil Yichud B'Metzias. It's the Yerida down into separation to be Megala Zayin in the deepest unity imaginable, which is the light of what the Ramchal is giving us. So we have the fact that HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants to bestow ultimate goodness upon reality. And the second klal is that in order to bestow that ultimate goodness upon reality, HaKadosh Baruch Hu has to create a distinction, a separation between the beginning, the middle, and the end, where there's an apparent split between the unity of HaKadosh Baruch Hu prior to the creation of the world, the Yichud B'Metzias, which is Yichud Ilah, and Yichud B'Shlita, which is the Yichud Tata. There's an apparent separation. But the entire purpose of that apparent separation is Yerida L'Tzarech Aliyah, because it's specifically there that we draw down Kavyachol, the light of HaKadosh Baruch Hu's desire towards goodness, and we ensure that it's going to be in accordance with the Toiv Hanira V'Hanigla, something that can be grasped in accordance with human experience, which is only revealed through that act of tzimtzum. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to reveal the ultimate fact that Hashem, you're unified. We know you're unified. You've always been unified. You're never not unified. But ultimately, we want that unity to be drawn down in accordance with the way that we need it, through Rachamim Rabim, which is the Mesilas Yesharim, which recognizes that the entire life of a person is a battle, and all we can do is look towards the tzaddikim who have already been through that battle, and to connect ourselves to those tzaddikim, to Moshe Rabbeinu, in order to be taken out of the chet of the meraglim, the inability to see the geula in front of one's eyes, and to connect to Moshe Rabbeinu, to the das of Moshe Rabbeinu, which is the way into Eretz Yisrael, because Eretz Yisrael is Moshe Rabbeinu, Moshe Rabbeinu is Eretz Yisrael. And only by that can we reveal the unity between the Yichud of Shlita, the presence of HaKadosh Baruch Hu in our day-to-day experiences and the tzimtzumim and the particularities of our day-to-day experience where bitachon and kivoy are necessary, and we can bring all of that back into the place of Yichud b'Metzias, which is Magala, the entire purpose of HaKadosh Baruch Hu's creation, which is Chayk HaToiv Lehetiv, but a Toiv HaNira V'Hanigla, a good that is revealed, a good that is revealed, a Toiv HaNira V'Hanigla, not just a Tov, not just the goodness of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, which we don't have such a hard time believing in, but rather a Toiv Hanira V'Hanigla, a goodness from HaKadosh Baruch Hu that we can see with the open eyes, the miracles that HaKadosh Baruch Hu performs for us each and every day at each and every moment. And this separation between the Yichud b'Metzias and the Yichud b'Shlita, the unification above of Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, and the unification below between Baruch Shem Kavod Malchus L'Olam, that leads to the separation that we've been talking about all along, which is the secret of Malchus and her destitution. The secret of Malchus and her destitution, the externalized form of the Taryag Evarim, that state of things in their abiding nature of being without any significant light emerging from them in a revealed way. There's no meaning to the container. There's just a container, the body itself. But we also know that there's the hidden light that belongs to Malchus, which rests at the bottommost point of Zer Anpin, and the secret of the Ater Sabris, which is the secret of the Malchus within Zer Anpin itself, which doesn't belong to Zer Anpin. It doesn't belong to the masculine. It belongs to the feminine, but that fulfillment of the feminine is now in a state of exile. It rests within the masculine tendency. But in the future, it's going to be revealed that inherent within Malchus herself, inherent within experience itself and being itself, one will come to find the fulfillment of being, which is the drawing down of the Yud, the Taryag mitzvos themselves, those lights, those ma'oros that reveal the light of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, so that we can draw it down and reveal and connect it to the external nature of things, which appears to be devoid of significance. And that entire process is the drawing down of the Vav into the matzah, which is the preparation of mitzvah. And we've spoken about how all of this is done through the Ater Sabris, which is the secret of the wholeness that resides within experience itself. which is the Atar Sabris, the secret of the Yud that gets drawn down into the Shindalid, which creates the name Shaddai, because experience devoid of the illumination of the Yud being drawn down from above appears to be something that is an empty container devoid of spiritual content, which is what Shadim are, which is what the Maharal describes as all of the creations that were created at the center point, at that liminal point on Erev Shabbos, where one can no longer complete the task. HaKadosh Baruch Hu Kaviyachol needed to stop before the final preparation. Why? Because it was left up to us in order to be mashlamit. As the Ramchal says, the entire tachlis of Bria, Hashem could reveal his unity in the beginning, the middle, and the end. He can negate the concept of beginning, middle, and the end. But the entire tachlis is that it should be a toif hanira v'hanigla that's drawn down through our own experience, which is the purpose of creation, which is the purpose of Bechira. And so it's up to us to reveal the fulfillment of Malchus, to draw the Yud into the shade, to transform it into Shakai, which takes place in the preparation of the emergence of Zer Anpin from within Bina and the secret of Kel Shakai, and it also takes place in the emergence of Malchus from within Zer Anpin and the secret of Shakai itself. And we said that the Chet Avodah Marishon was the covering over of this connectivity. The covering over of the connectivity between the Taryag external vessels and the Taryag inner lights, the Pnimius and the Chitzonius. And this is what it means when Adam Arishon was Moishech Ba'arlaso, that he covered over the essential point of connectivity, that singular most point of connectivity, that Yud of Shakai, that is the beginning of fulfillment of the externality of Malchus herself. It's the drawing down of the Tesvirus of Malchus to be Mashal Malchus herself, and then drawing down the Yud Svirus to Ma, as we're going to see. And Adam Arishon, through the Chet of the Yetzadas, was Moishech Ba'arlaso. He covered over that revelation, and things descended down back once again into a Shin Dalid devoid of the Yud. But then we saw last week that Noach HaTzadik came along and he rectified reality, and he brought about the bris of the Keshet. The Keshet is the promise that in spite of the fact that it appears that I severed the connection, the bris between the inside and the outside, between the Taryag mitzvos and the Taryag Avarim, between the innermost content of reality and the external container of reality itself, even though it appears that that relationship has been lost, the secret of the Keshet, the secret of the Gvanim of the Keshet, that three-pronged nature of the relationship between the right, left, and center that allows for there to be a perpetual bond, which is the secret of the Atar Sabris, which is the secret of the three elements of Bris Mila, which we're going to see are Mila, Priya, and Atifa Saddam. So the Keshet, the three Gvanim, which are associated with Chesed, Gvur, Teferes, Avram, Yitzhak, and Yaakov, that ensures that we know that even though it appears that the severance has taken place, nevertheless, we fundamentally are aware that there is a unity that resides at all times. That irreducible connectivity between the Taryag Evarim and the Taryag Mitzvos, performed through the revelation of mitzvos like tefillin and tzitzis and Shabbos and all of those things that we're engaged in, it now will never be erased, because the laws of spirituality dictate that once something has been there, even if it goes into a state of disappearance, that's only a concealment. That's why it says the osos are always there. It's just that we might not see them. And yes, there's a vada concealment on the connectivity between these two realms, where it appears that the Yichud of the Rosh and the Yichud of the Sof, the Yichud of Yichud b'Metzias, the singular nature of HaKadosh Baruch Hu's unity in existence, as the singular expression of anything, Efes Ulaso, as well as the Yichud b'Shlita, which is the reality of HaKadosh Baruch Hu's Hashkacha with creation itself, which is the Yichud Tata. It appears that there's a separation between the two of them, but we know fundamentally from the Zman of the Keshet and on that we don't have to be too afraid, because no matter where we fall, there will always be that which is already present in order to rebuild even higher than where we were in the beginning. And that's what we're up to now. The Ramchal has just taught us very clearly that al tira mipachet pesom, that don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of the apparent disconnection between the Taryag mitzvos of Zer Anpin and the light of Malchus that resides in Zer Anpin, the fulfillment and the innermost point of reality, and the external nature of Malchus, which appears to be devoid of that connectivity. Because in spite of the fact that it's concealed, it is ready to be revealed at any moment. The treasure is not away far under a bridge, but rather the treasure is always already in the house itself, which is the secret of Mesilas Sharim, which is coming to uncover the pathways towards HaKadosh Baruch Hu within our hearts, Mesilas B'Levavam. The secret of what the Ramchal describes in the Saktama, that in truth you don't have to learn anything new. You already know everything you need to know. You just have to remember what you've already forgotten you know. Zakt the Ramchal on Daf Tes Zayin, Adir BaMarom, in the Hotza'a of Machoin HaRamchal. The Afarish Lecha Ata Inyan HaKisuyim Ha'ela. And now I'm going to come to describe to you the nature of these concealments that rest upon the inherent connection between the ascended light of the Taryag Mitzvos and the vessels of the Taryag Evarin, like we've been discussing. There's kisuyim, there's concealment. What is this concealment? What is the nature of this concealment? That just as we know the yud is composed of a top, a middle, and a bottom, the three dots of ink that compose the yud itself, the yud vav daled that spells out yud, those 3 points, which represents keser chachman bina, chesed gvur tferes, all of the threes that we know, shehim soidat tlas gvanim shalakeshet, this yud that is being drawn down into the shade to be mashlimit as shakai, this ateres abris, which is being drawn down from the lights of Malchus that are now resting within Zer Anpin in order to be revealed back in Malchus to the place that they originally belong and that they've always belonged. They've just been in a state of being protected in Zer Anpin during the time of Gullus, but in truth in Geula it's going to be revealed that Malchus herself was Shalim, and it's going to be the secret of Eishes Chayla Taras Baila. That the drawing down of this yud is not simply the yud, but the Ateres Abris that is being drawn down is composed of 3 elements. Shehem tzlas gvanin shalakeshet. These are the 3 colors: red, white, and green of the rainbow, as the Zohar HaKadosh describes it, the Chesed, the Gvura, and the Tiferes, because the red is Gvura, the green is going to be Tiferes, and the white is going to be Chesed. And in accordance with these 3 yudin of the yud that's being drawn down from above to below, which is representative by the element of the bris milah, which is the hiskalus of the nekuda hapnimi, of that essential point of significance that is being drawn down into the inessential and insignificant external casings of reality, that yichud now has keneged yesh gimel kisuyim. There are 3 ways that this light and the revelation that is always there can be concealed. Shelaha aviram tzarich orla priya ve'atifa dedama. That in order to remove these 3 levels of concealment that block over the inherent connection between above and below, the light of meaning and the containers of existence, correspond to the 3 processes of the bris milah: priya, cutting away. Orla, cutting away. Priya, folding over. But Atifa Dedama is revealing. In any process, there's Hachna'a, Havdala, and Hamtaka. There's always a 3-stage process. Ibur, Yinika, Moichin, and Chesed, Gvura, Teferes, Chabad, Chagas, Nahi, Pesach, Shua, Sukkot. There's always a 3-stage process towards removing concealment. So there is going to be the act of removal. Once a person has removed something, they're going to engage with that which they removed in order to reveal its inherent strength. And then once that has been prepared and it's been revealed and it's prepared to be revealed, Atif Dhamma is the drawing out of that strength. So there's the getting rid of the prevention, there's the preparation of potential, and there's the emergence of potential into actuality. That's the Orla, which is the removal of concealment, the Priya, which is the revelation of potential, but Atifa Dhamma is going to be the emergence of the Koach from a state of potential into actuality. And these 3 levels of concealment that cover over that 3-stage process of unification are the secret of Esav, Yishmael, and the Erev Rav, which correspond to the light of Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. This zel umas zeh. Vehim mamish makbilos legimel avos. These klipos and these kisuyim of the orla, the priya, and the atifa dedama that a person has to perpetually go through in order to reveal the inherent connection between above and below by holding on to that singular point of hyper significance, which is the secret of the ateres abris, which is being drawn down into malchus. They are the secret of Esav, Yishmael, and the Erev Rav, which are mamish correspondent directly to Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, meaning to say that mamish in the sense that without one side, you didn't have the other side. Sitra Achra, as we've spoken about so often in Ramchal, is simply an other side of the expression of Hashem's unity, which is why the Ramchal is able to speak so openly about the apparent concealment and disunity, because he's ever reminding us that all of it is simply the hither side, and that's the Lashon, Sitra Achra, the other side of HaKadosh Baruch Hu's revelation of unity, which will eventually be removed and revealed to have been the seat of goodness, which is the yichud, the fundamental yichud, which the Ramchal is perpetually teaching us about. The need to go into concealment so that we can use every ounce of concealment to reveal the light of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, which means that they're mamish makbilos to the Gimel Avos. Ki Esav, Yishmael, Bayim, Yitzchak, Avram. We know that Yishmael, the child of Avram, is an expression of the chesed pagum that can emerge from Avram. Avram is the light of chesed. Chesed, we know that can be an illicit relationship. Ki chesed hu, that unbridled loving kindness that is expressed outwards with the flowing nature of gushing water, has the tendency to extend itself far too low and to create a disruption in order. That is the klipa of Yishmael, as Chazal tell us that that asar kavan shels nus yardu oilam, and 9 were taken by Yishmael. And we know that Esav comes from Yitzchak, which is the psilus of Gvura, which is the murderous impulse and the anger and the tendency towards anger that emerges from the reality of Gvuros. And then with Yaakov Avinu, we know that Yaakov Avinu doesn't have a direct emergence of a klipa that is omed kenegdo like Avram or Yitzchak do. But what is emergence from the Das of Yaakov is going to be the nature of the Erev Rav, the opposition of Das. Just as Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov are Chesed, Gvura, and Teferes, Avram being Chesed, Yitzchak being Gvura, and Yaakov Avinu being Teferes, the Ramchal is also Masbir, and this is what the Meforshim say as well, that the same relationship can be expressed in Chachma, Bina, and Das, that Avram is Chachma, and that Yitzchak is Bina, and that the Das is going to be Yaakov Avinu, which is why the Erev Rav, which is the Begam of Das, and that's why Moshe and Yaakov have a relationship. The inner point is Moshe, the externalization of Moshe is Yaakov, and that's why the Erev Rav is Omed there. And all three of those things stand in direct opposition to the process that needs to be gone through, which is the Orla Priya and the Atifa Dama, which is necessary to draw down that Yud, the Gimel Kutz and the Yud, to be mashlim the shade, to be mahapich it into Shaddai. And again, this is the process of how we reveal that which is being concealed. Every time we go through this, we're not creating something that is not present because it was removed, but rather we're engaged in the process of higala. No, we're revealing something that is always already known, like the Ramchal hints to in the introduction to Mesilas Yesharim. Besides that, I'm sorry, the Ramchal says, they come from within Klal Yisrael itself. Ki kol zeh toli b'mitzvahs hamila, because the removal of these gimel kisuyim all are dependent upon the mitzvah of mila, the os, the tseva, the tzvaos, the tseva, the os b'tzeva shalo, the way that we connect above and below in the secret of the bris milah, which is the hyper essentiality of amich kulam tzadikim and tzadik yisod olam, because the nekuda of yisod and the nekuda of bris, as the Tikkun Zohar says, is rikia. It's the ability to separate, to differentiate. Im ein das havdalah minayin, and das is in the skala in the yisod itself, in kishoy elul das, and this is the inyan of the kichut hasara, that mila represents ikr, tishkach Rakia v'timsa ikr. If you take the word Rakia, which represents the separation of what Yesod allows us to do, the hyper-significance of things and the belief in meaning, which by definition means that things will mean different things, which is the descent away from the Yichud b'Metzias, where all things mean the same thing, and the emergence into the Yichud of Shlita, where each and every thing means something different, but it means something significant in the secret of the Pratim. So that's the secret of the Bris Milah. That is this process of removing those three kisuyim and uncovering the light of significance. Ki she'ein ha'orla mechasa, when the foreskin is not covering over the nekuda of bris, as ha'chasadim mispashtim min hachaza ulamata. As we're going to see, there's an expression of chesed, there's an expression of ki chafetz chesed, who HaKadosh Baruch Hu's unity can be unfolded upon reality. There's a unity between above and below, which is expressed in the flowing nature of chasadim, and they emerge from the lower half of HaKadosh Baruch Hu's expression in this reality called Adam Kadmon, and it expresses itself lamata, and the hamshacha of chasadim is exactly what we need. That's the tachlis of drawing down moichin. And what are these chasadim that emerge from the drawing down of the yud into the shin dalid when there is no kisoy, when there is no concealment? Him ayin. These are the ayin lights of chesed, which are the secret of the ayin nefesh of Klal Yisrael, which went down into Mitzrayim, as the Ramchal is going to explain. That ayin is the 5 times 14, which is going to correspond to the hey gvuros of mansapach, to the severity that is necessary to cut away the klipa, the utilization of the severity of the mind in the process of removing the orla and uncovering through the process of priya and allowing it to emerge through the secret of atifa dadam. That's all going to be through the gvuros. It's all going to be through mansapach, the difficulty of the mind, and that's how we draw down chasadim. V'zehu mamish makom hayishuv. And when the chasadim are niskala lamata min hachaza, and the lights of zer anpin and nukva, which operate lamata min hatabor, are illuminated, that is going to be the makov hayishuv. That's going to be oilam hatikun. That's going to be when there is a balance between above and below, and the yud is going to settle in to the shin dalid, and it's going to be the secret of kel shakai and the secret of the unification between the lights and the vessels. And that is the makom of rachel mitzuyasham. That is where the illumination of malchus is going to take place. That's where malchus operates, and that's where malchus is fully illuminated. When a person has finally drawn down that ayin, that light of ayin ba'ayin, the 70 nefesh, which is drawing down of the chasadim that emerge from the fuma da'ama, which is the secret of l'takin oilam malchut shaddai, that the secret of the Gilui of the Or Zarua Litzadik Yisrael Simcha, the secret of the concealed light which rests at the very tip of that Nikud of the Ateres Yesod, which is to be Niskala Lamata in the world of Malchus, that is the place of Makom HaYishuv, that's the place of Moshav Tov Yashavta, that's the place of Binyan Beis HaMikdash, that's the secret of being Mamtech Rachel, as we've been speaking about, which is the secret of drawing down fulfillment into the empty vessels of Malchus themselves. V'zehu b'moshvoi sam, that all of the Yidden had light in their Moshav, all of the Yidden had light in the places that they lived. L'chol b'nei Yisrael haya or b'moshvei sam. That's the secret of Bris Milah, as we've explained elsewhere, says the Ramchal. But now what happens when we find that perpetually present, never not moving unity is covered over, but the kisuyim, which the Ramchal just told us in the previous year, that again, the kisuyim are kisuyim, but it's not that the thing that is being covered over is not there. Our signs are not seen. They're still our signs, we just can't see them. It doesn't say osos lo ra'inu. It doesn't say signs were not seen as if we have no possession over the signs, but the signs are still ours, because all of that light of the Taryag mitzvos is already enveloped within the Taryag Ivarim of Nishmas Yisrael. Orla, but when that Orla covers over again, when there is a concealment of Yishmael, Esav, and Erevrav that cover over the light of unity, Heishiv Achor Yemino Mifnei Oyev. HaKadosh Baruch Hu has removed his right side, which is Chesed, the expression of loving kindness, the Toiv HaNira VaHanigla, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu returns it back to a place of Achor. He brings the world back to that place of concealment, to that Achor ba'Achor, where there's no inherent relationship between the fulfillment of Zer Anpin and the container of Malchus, between the Taryag Mitzvos and the Taryag Evarim, between the Yud and the Shindalid of Shakai. V'az nishar choshech v'galus, and at that point we find ourselves in a state of concealment and exile. Again, not absence, but concealment and exile that covers over that which is present. And this is the secret of the pasuk that David Malka Mashiach says in Kapitel Ayin Dalid, pasuk Yud and Yud Aleph, Ad Masai Elokim Yecharef Tsar. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, for how long? For how long, HaKadosh Baruch Hu? The translation properly is, Ad Masai Elokim Yecharef Tsar. Until when, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, are you going to revile with the will of the tormentor? Unites Oyev, there's going to be the enemies who blaspheme you, Shimcha Lenetzach, who are destroying your name seemingly forever. Lama Teshiv Yadcha V'Yamincha. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, why do you remove your hand? Why do you remove your right hand of Chesed? Mikerev Chikecha Kalei. Remove it from that hidden place. Remove the hands from that hidden place and allow it to be revealed. Allow the hand of Chesed to be revealed from that hidden place. That's the question that we're asking HaKadosh Baruch Hu in the times of exile. When ososenu lo ra'inu, when the signs are not revealed, where the illumination of above is not apparent in the containment of below, so we say, Ad Mosei Elokim Yecharef Tsar. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, how long are you going to entertain the enemy? Yina'itz oyev shimcha lenetzach. That the enemy blasphemes your name at all times. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, why do you remove your right hand? Why do you not allow the undulating light of chasadim to be niskala, b'fuma da'ama to be mamtek zayin on all dinim? For how long is the hand going to be concealed? Remove it from chikecha and reveal it. And the Ramchal is going to descend down into this pasuk of David Malka Mashiach, because all of the secrets are hidden in the light of David Malka Mashiach. And the Ramchal and all of the tzaddikim are coming to be megala, the light that's already inherent within Malchus of David Malka Mashiach. So the Ramchal is going to say these three stages of concealment expressed in this pasuk are going to correspond to the three stages of concealment that we just spoke about, which is the klipa of Esav, Yishmael, and Erevrav, which cover over the tlas kutz and yud, which is the secret of drawing down the three yudin of Chesed, Gvur, Tiferes from above down to below to illuminate Malchus. So this is what's happening in the Zman of concealment. So first and foremost, Yecharef, says the Ramchal, how long are you going to allow the enemies to be angry? That corresponds to the Orla. That corresponds to the original concealment over the Nekuda of Bris that conceals the connectivity. Then Yina'etz Oyev Shimcha Lenetzach, how long are you going to allow your enemy to blasphemize your name? Keneged Hapriya. This is the second stage of concealment, which was the folding over after the cutting away. And Lama Tashiv Yadcha, how long are you going to remove your right hand for and keep it hidden away, reveal it? That corresponds to the third one. So the first one is going to be Yecharif, is going to be the klipa of Esav, which corresponds to the klipa of Orla. Yina'etz Oyev is going to correspond to the klipa that covers over Priya, which is Yishmael, who are Mohul, Velo Parim. And Lama Tashiv Yodcha is going to correspond to Erevrav. V'zeki kvar shamata. Zakter Ramchal, you've already heard this. You've already understood this. Eich hasfiros besoid shindalid the shindalid yud. How all of the spheros operate in their isolation down in Malchus, the 10 spheres of Malchus, in the state of Shin Dalid, which has no fulfillment to it, in the secret of the Shin Dalid from Shakai. And those are the Shemos of Elohim. The Shin Dalid of Shakai, the 300, which is the reboy of the name of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Elohim spelled out, is going to correspond. Elohim represents din, it represents container without fulfillment. And Shem Havaya represents the fulfillment, which is why the yichud of Shem Havaya and Elohim is the yichud of above and below, the yichud Hashalim. But we've already told you how the concealment takes place through the name of Elohim. And that's why the Pasuk says, David HaMelech says, Ad Masai Elohim Yecharif Tsar. When and for how long are you going to allow the Shem of Elohim, the concealment that conceals the inherent connection between the Yud and the Shin Dalid, between above and below, between the Taryag Mitzvos and the Taryag Itin, between the light that is inherent to Malchus and the vessel of Malchus herself? How long are you going to allow the enemy to engage? That Elohim, because it's a state of din. Ki ela hahe osios, these 5 letters of Elohim, which represent the 5 gevuros of the Manspach, heim atzmam heim he oitzios Manspach. The Sophios, Mem, Nun, Sadi, Pei, Chaf, Sophis represent dinim and gevuros because they are the ending of things. They represent the par dinim. And the secret of the Manspach is the tsar, it's the oyev. It's the oyev. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you're allowing your Shem Elohim to be revealed because that's what happens when there's a Shin Dalid, a lower expression without the fulfillment of the Yud from above. And that's when the 3 points of the Yud from above are concealed. The Atar Sabris is reconcealed through the Gimel Klipos, which are Esav Yishmal and Erev Rav, which are Keneged, the Mila, the Priya, and the Atifa Dama. And which means, says the Ramchal, Ki ela hahe oisios atzmam him he oisios mansapach. These 5 letters, the osios are everything. These 5 osios of the gevuros are themselves mansapach, are themselves the secret of the tsar. When HaKadosh Baruch Hu only reveals his name of Elohim, that is the concealment. No enemy has any power of its own. It's simply the glory of HaKadosh Baruch Hu and the Mansapach of HaKadosh Baruch Hu and the dinim of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Neskala, that are giving koach to the Shlita Sahester, which conceals over the already present unity. And that's the secret of tsar, of suffering. This is the secret of the nachash, which is the concealment over the bris, which is the klipa itself that is the Esav Yishmael and the Erev Rav. It's referred to as Nachash Afar Lachma, which we know that it's shaykh to the Orla of the Bris Milah. Klomar Ayin, what is Afar? What does the Nachash eat from? Ayin, which is the Nekudos Elohim. When you take the gematria of the Nekudos that spell out the Shem Elohim, it rises to the gematria of 70, representing the 70 kochos of the Sitra Achra that cover over the 70 kochos of the Chasadim, which are the 70 nefesh of Klai Yisrael, which are the 5 times 14, which are the 5 hands of Hamtakas Adinim, as we're going to see, because the goal is not to get rid of Manspach, God forbid, but rather to utilize Manspach to reveal the unity with even more intensity and ferocity. Klomar, what's Nafash Achfar Lachmo? The Ayin Nekudas de Elohim, when the shame of Elohim is Niskala and the concealment is present, and we can no longer see and the 3 kuts in the yud are not niskala lamata, and there's no shleimas hayichud between the yud and the shin dalid. So we find ayin and par, the par of mansapach, the par dinim. So when there's a hiskalus of the Shem Elohim, and it's revealed through that secret of the concealment, which is the nafash afar lachmo, so that is when there's a giloy of the afar and the pardinim. The ha'orla atzma nikra cherpa, and the orla atzma is referred to as something shameful. It is that which covers over the light. So there's a cherpa and there's a busha, and there's no connectivity between above and below. That's what's taking place when there's a concealment. Besoid galoisi es cherpas mitzrayim yalechem. That the secret of how do we understand the exile is the secret of the pasuk that says Hashem takes us out of that exile and reveals the redemption that comes out of that place of concealment, which is exactly how the Ramchal deals with concealment all the time. The orlas atzma nikra cherpa. It's referred to as cherpa, as Rabbi Nachman talks about so often. Beside Galoisi is cherpas mitzrayim me'alechem. V'chein cherpas amu yasir. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to reveal the shame, the concealment that covers over the unity between the Yud and the Shindalid, between above and below, between the Yichud b'Metzias and the Yichud b'Shlita. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to get rid of the shame and is going to reveal that loisi v'yishiv loisi chalmi, matishtoichu matahemi. And we're going to find v'nimtza sha'atzar mecharif. And in those times of concealment, in those times of difficulty, we find that it's the tsar, when the Elohim is niskala and there's a concealment of the inherent unity between above and below, that's where the enemy of Esav, Yishmael, and the Erev Rav, which are always unified, where they come and fight. V'yesh oid b'chinas Yishmael, because we find not only is Esav connected the Orla, but there's an aspect of Yishmael, sheyesh lemila v'lepriya. Yishmael, the enemy Yishmael, is a different type of koyach because it's misdam and it has the koyach of mila. It has the koyach of being megala, the certain element that's related to Avram Avinu, but it doesn't have the koyach of Yitzchak Avinu. It doesn't have the koyach of the gevura of Yitzchak, which is the priya. V'nimsa shu menaetz. When we look at the pasuk, so he's not being mecharif, he's being menaetz es Hashem. He's blasphemizing the name. There's a presence of the name, but it's a blasphemy of the name. Shusod hayud hazos. This is the yud. The yud is the name of Hakadosh Baruch Hu, as we understand. It's the shirish of the Shem Havaya that needs to be drawn down into the Shemas Elokim of Malchus herself. And Yishmael is oimid on that yud as if we don't have the ability to draw down that yud into the Shin Dalid, and that's going to be the secret of being Megala the koyach of Priya, being Megala the koyach of not only being Masir the Ra, but of a Higolena, of a Toiv Hanir Vahanigla. That's the secret of the Bittul of Yishmael. Shenemar by Ani Hashem Hushmi v'choydil acher lo yitain. That this yud that Yishmael fights against and that Nishmas Yisrael has the ability to draw down when we uncover the secret of the Priya, the Kedusha, which is the secret of the Higolena, of removing in order for the sake of revealing, which is the secret of the Sur Meira v'asei Toiv, of being Megala, the Toiv Hanir Vahanigla, of being Meshabeach HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and recognizing the Toiv Hanir Vahanigla, and saying thank you Hashem, and recognizing the ability to be moedim to HaKadosh Baruch Hu over the Toiv Hanir Vahanigla that we see in our lives and we want more of our lives. That's the way that we're mevata the koyach of Yishmael. Shenemar ba ani Hashem hushmi. This yud is the name of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Choydi la'aser la'acher lo yitein. Nobody else has a right to this name. Only you, Klal Yisrael, and you just have to reveal it. Va'ad sheloi nefreyas hayud nikra ha'oyev menaetz Hashem. And kol zman that there's no priya to this yud, that we don't reveal this yud down here and reveal the inherent connection between above and below, and find the hyper significance within every aspect of our experience down here in the Malchus Malchus of Eretz Yisrael, of the mind, of the body, of the heart, then it's referred to as a time where the enemy is blasphemizing the name, and they use the name. They use the name, they praise the name, God forbid. And in truth, we have to just go through the process of the Priya and being Megala the Yud, of the secret of the Taken Oilam Malchut Shaddai, to reveal that hyper significance and the Iker of every aspect and every step that a person takes in Klal Yisrael, as the Bas Ayin says, that through the Koyach of, and the Bas Ayin is that Yud, it's the Pnimius HaYud that rests in the Safon and Sfats, as we know, the secret of the Bas Ayin and his Koyach of coming to Eretz Yisrael, and instead of seeing the Afar Haaretz, which is the Nafash Afar Lachmo, he saw the scintillation of diamonds on every step that he took, because the secret of the Bas Ayin and the Yud that's drawn down from above to below is the hisnoititzitz of the Or of the Keshet that's Meir, the Aretz itself, which is Megala, the secret of Eretz HaKadosha, which is Megala, the Bittul of Yishmael Be'ezras Hashem. Through that Bas Ayin, through that secret of seeing the good of Eretz Yisrael, of seeing the diamonds of Eretz Yisrael, of drawing down that Yud through the secret of the Priya, which is the Soida of Priya, which is Para Yud Kei. HaKadosh Baruch Hu reveals the Yud Kei. And because Yishmael stands in the secret of Netzach and Esav stands in the secret of Hod, because Netzach is a continuity of Chesed and it's concealment of the right side corresponding to Avram, and Esav is a concealment of the left side, which is Gevura, which is going to correspond to Hod. Amar Yina'itz Oyev B'Shimcha Netzach. That's why the second stage of the pasuk describing the concealment associated with Yishmael is going to be associated with the concealment of Shimcha Lenetzach. Achine oid yesh ha'erev rav. We also have the erev rav, which is the third element of concealment. Sheba avuram, that as a result of their engagement, gam kain ein hachasadim ha'elam irim Yisrael. That as a result of their engagement and their struggle, the chasadim also are not revealed. It's not only Esav and Yishmael. There's also a third element of concealment, which corresponds to atifa dedam. Va'aleim amar, and on them it says, Lama teshiv yodcha v'yamincha mekarev chekecha kaleh. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, how long is your right hand going to be concealed? How long is the chasadim going to be concealed? Reveal your right hand from within its hidden place. V'hu gamkin mashakasav, and it's also that which is written, Hashiv achor yamino. HaKadosh Baruch Hu took his right side and moved it back to a state of achor ba'achor, ki'ilu, that the chasadim were benister now. The giloy of the toiv hanir v'hanigla goes back to that choyka toiv lahetiv, where we can no longer see the revelation of HaKadosh Baruch Hu's goodness and upon him, and it only appears to be operating in a state of achor ba'achor chas v'shalom. And they return back into that hidden place of the chest where the chasadim came back from, and it goes back to a place where it's not a toiv hanir v'hanigla, but rather it's a tov that we believe in but we don't see. When it comes to the hand of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, when it comes to to the hand of a human being, there are two elements. There's the bechina of the yad and the bechina of hayad and the bechina of yad yamin. There is when it's referred to as the hand in general, and there's also going to be the right hand. What's unique about the right hand? There's hands and then there's the right hand. Perish ki hayad hu sod hayad pirkin shem shavim limin v'smol. That with yad we have 14 elements of our hand. There are the two parts of the thumb, and there are the three parts of every other part of the hand. So 3 times 4 is 12, plus the 2 of the thumb is going to be 14, which is why when a person claps their hands together, Rabbi Nachman says it's yad el yad, which begins to be koyach 28, which is the koyach mas of higla amo l'teit lam nachlas koyim. Now when a person claps together the yamin and the small, what they're doing is they're being ma'ir the koyach hagvura nasan lahem, which is the secret of Eretz Yisrael, even in Chutz La'aretz, which is the hamtaka and drawing down of the yud. And so that's going to be equal on the right hand and the left hand. Both the right hand and the left hand have those 14 elements. V'yesh b'chinas hey etzba'os, and there's also going to be the element of the 5 fingers, shehem soid ha'hei chasadim, and those are going to be the secret of the 5 chasadim, and that's unique to the yad yamin. Behem yad hu soid kol hashvatim, and yad also represents all of the shvatim, which is the place where the Erev Rav is going to be achuz on, because it's a klipa that comes from within Klal Yisrael itself that needs to be mezuchach, as we know that Moshe Rabbeinu wanted to be mezachich them and will be mezachich them. Ki halo yud bei shvatim him, there's 12 shvatim, v'levi maschalik lebeis koyin v'levi hari yadalid, and those elements of the hand represent the parts of the body of Klal Yisrael, which are going to have the Erev Rav being soser on them. V'sod ha'hei chasadim nasa ayin, and these hei chasadim of the right hand become ayin, which is the ayin nefesh, because it's going to be the 5 times 14, which is going to be the ayin chasadim sha'amarnu shemaskalim. That's what happens when it's revealed. But in the time of concealment, that removes, that's when the Erev Rav is concealing over that light, it's removed and it returns back to a place of stam choy katov lahetiv, but not a toiv hanira v'anigla, as a result of the Erev Rav. The teda, and a person should know gamkin shebeshuv ela hachasadim achor, when these chasadim go back to a state of achor ba'achor and they're no longer revealed, and that yud is no longer revealed in a revealed way in the state of the shindalad, and it appears to be concealment. Ne'emar bezakav yachol. We also say with regards to Zer Anpin, not only is malchus concealed, but we say tashesh kolchol kanakeva. Now Zer Anpin, the masculine principle that is must be a lamata to be mashlim, that which is mechusar, to reveal the shleimas achisaron itself, it loses its strength and it returns back to a state of the feminine, because now the lights of malchus go back upwards and they're hidden with the masculine principle again, because there's no longer the secret of unity. Shumamish said achor ba'achor b'soid achor v'kedem sartani, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the masculine and the feminine unified, because the lights of the feminine have to be contained within the expression of Zer Anpin prior to the Nasiro, which is the Giloi of the Yichud of the Yud within the Shindal. Because all that will remain is the Malchus down here, which is the Taryag Evarim, which is the Shindalid, Achor Ba'achor, which is still Choy Katov Lahetiv, because there's always Oisesenu La'Re'inu, even though the Osas are not seen, there still are Oises, V'karnetz Parish, B'Zeb Makom Acher, and we've already explained this elsewhere. Ve'ein Poin Makom L'Harich, and now is not the time to expend clarification of the matter. But, and the Ramchal Avada has to end, because even though we know that it can be concealed, we know that they will eventually be revealed when these chasadim come back to illuminate. All of the gvuros, all of those klipos, all of those processes of the emsa are now going to be invigorated with the light of chesed, and they're going to motivate the gilui with an even more intense ferocity. Because yes, we want the yichud b'metzias. We know when the chasadim go back up, it's choy katoiv lahetiv. We have the yichud b'metzias, but when the lights come back down and the toiv hanira v'hanigla, we also have the yichud of shlita, and it's specifically from with the yichud of shlita, HaKadosh Baruch Hu's revelation in our lives in the particular moments and the concealment of Baruch Shem Kohen Malchus L'Amod, that the gvuros themselves are going to be nishapich into the Yeshua, as we learned in the Hakdamat of the Zohar Kadosh. In Afila Gvuros Meiros B'Bulchinas Zachar, the Garma say Yeshua. Now Malchus herself is going to be revealed, to be fulfilled within herself, Kihema Yeshuos, and that's salvation itself in the secret of Kois Yeshuos, which is the gematria of Elohim, that from within Elohim itself comes the Yeshua, which is the Gvuros Memutakos. There's a Geula, which is just Chesed Rachamim, and then there's the Gvuros Memutakos, where we're Ma'omer from within the Gvura itself, a secret of the Marav Tuvchash Etzafant L'Reyecha, the goodness, as we saw in the Zohar Kadosh, that comes from within concealment itself. V'zehu Soid, and this is the secret of Elohim Malchi Mikedem Poyel Yeshuas B'Kerev Haaretz. That this is the secret of Elohim, the Shem of Elohim itself, the king that was prior to the creation of the world, where even the Gvuras are revealed. Poyel Yeshuas B'Kerev Haaretz. There's going to be a revelation of salvation through the Gvuras themselves, through the Priya of the Osiyot, through the Bittul of Yishmael, and it's going to be the Hamshach of the Yud into Shakai, and the secret of Latakin Olam B'Malchut Shakai Be'ezras Hashem.